second chapter of the second part, pawn endings. Yeah, again, I only want to present a few golden guidelines, and I want to start with the rule of the square. This you should definitely know, and I like it a lot as it's a geometrical rule. The situation is the following. There's one passed pawn and the defending king. All other aspects are not dealt with at the moment. Of course, I know that in real-life positions there's also an attacking king and more pawns, and yeah. But okay, the rule of the square only deals with this fight between the passed pawn and the defending king. And then, yeah, you draw from the passed pawn the diagonal to the back rank of the defender, and then you complete it to a square. And the rule then says the following: if the defending king can move into the square, then the defending king will be able to stop the passed pawn. If it cannot move into the square, then the passed pawn will queen. Of course, in this rule, it is assumed that the defending king has access to all squares necessary for this. In real-life positions where there are further pawns, you have to make sure that this is the case, or you'd have to do concrete calculation, of course. Okay, so with white to move, the pawn advances. The square must be drawn again. Okay, we of course now know how to do it. Draw the diagonal to the back rank, then complete the diagonal to this square, and then see if the defending king can move into the square. But the king from b4 cannot fly to d6, so the pawn will queen. And yeah, let's see. Okay, here I don't draw the square again, but okay, here already you somehow see immediately anyway that the pawn will queen. So with white to move, the pawn will queen, as the defending king cannot move into the square. With black to move, it is different. Okay, let's first draw the square again. And now the king can move into the square, and so it will be able to stop the pawn. Yeah, so we can just check if it's correct. Now this is the square. Oh, excuse me. But of course, when you don't draw always these squares in your calculation and so on, I think that from a certain point on, your brain will do it for you, or by more or less unconsciously by itself. And this is, yeah, the king again moves into the square. The king moves into the square, and the king has managed to stop the passed pawn. And the big advantage of this rule, I think, is that it can be applied extremely quickly. You can see immediately if the pawn will queen or not, because it's such a quick, useful graphical rule. If this had to be calculated, it would take more time and be less reliable in some way. Okay, you could also calculate king c5, f6, king d6, f7, king e7, f8, king takes, and okay, it can be done, but at least I would take a lot more time and energy by this concrete calculation than by just seeing the king c5 moves into the square, and then it can stop the passed pawn. I really like these graphical rules a lot, and so of course I had to include a few of them into this DVD on golden endgame rules.